it's not just the task of writing an email, but it also gives you ideas along with it, which is absolutely great, because as a small team and we are trying to plan everything ourselves, it's a great help to have ideas.
Hello and welcome everyone to another episode of Down and Dirty. And today I have with me the dynamic Zahara Kanchwalla. She is the co-founder and CEO of Right Knowledge Labs. It's a content-first digital agency that focuses on thought leadership. She's been doing it since 2015, but guys, we all know that this stuff is really, really hot right now. So you should definitely check out what she does if this is something that interests you. Zahara, I'm so excited to have you on because we are going to talk about ChatGPT and how you use it in the context of work. But I thought before we get into that, sorry, you were saying something?
Thank you for having me, I said, Taapsi.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, on that note, I want you to tell our viewers and our listeners a little bit about how you got into thought leadership and what does your digital agency do in that context?
Right. So we are Right Knowledge Labs. It's an entity I started about 8 years ago. And I really started it with the gap that I identified from my experience of having worked with large multinational clients, where I saw that even when they set out to create a large digital asset like a corporate website, when it came to design, they reached out to fancy creative UI UX agencies, but when it came to content, it was relegated to an in-house subject matter expert without really the specialist expertise on storytelling and thought leadership content. And with that, I felt the whole approach to the asset got diluted, right? And we felt that when you set out to create an important reputation asset like a website, if you have a content first approach, you get your narrative right, you get your positioning right, you get the strategy right, and then that can marry with great design. So identifying that gap is what really made us start. And yeah, it's been 8 years now. We work with a marquee set of customers, a number of large multinational clients today for whom we handle their content and communication needs. We build their corporate websites, we run their corporate social media. So yeah, that's what we do.
So what does a day in your life look like? If I had to map out from the time you wake up till the time you go to bed, what's an average? I mean, if there's anything like average when you're the co-founder CEO, I don't know if you have an average day, but what comes close to what a day might look like?
So the day is really, really busy. I think it's packed with a lot of customer calls, a lot of, we're very hands-on as founders. So a lot of, getting down to looking at tweets, LinkedIn posts, long-form blogs, chairman's messages. So a very fine eye for detail and multiple deliverables, to look at during the day. And of course, a lot of I try to take out time to focus on hiring, because we are looking at growing the team, and yeah, that's how the day is typically. A lot of firefighting in between as well.
Of course. I mean, if you're running your own business, I imagine firefighting is like your second name. It's part of the job. Okay. So if I had to see or peek over your shoulder, and look at your computer and see what tabs are open, things that you use regularly, or maybe software that's, downloaded either local or in the cloud, what are some things that I would spot on your device?
So, in terms of apps that we use typically
Hmm.
on our device, it's the basic, Office 365, because finally we work in, Word documents to create our content. When it comes to design, you will see a little bit of Canva there. You will see tools like Grammarly, which we use to, polish our content, or edit, or just do a fine language check. Sometimes US English, UK English, those kind of checks. Grammarly is a great help, and of course, ChatGPT as well.
Okay, fantastic. So that's a nice segue for us to talk about your favorite tool. So, it's tough to say favorite because the context of all the tools are different. So maybe favorite's not the right word, but let's talk about a tool that you use very frequently and that you rely on quite heavily. What would that be?
So I think of late, definitely we have, we use ChatGPT quite a lot, and I can see a significant improvement in the way we deal with repetitive tasks. Tasks which used to take away a lot of our thinking time. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to creating powerful content, authentic content, which has a powerful storytelling to it, we need to be able to have ideas, and
Hmm.
if we have our repetitive tasks taken care of, then we can really focus and put our full mind to, really thinking and crafting, compelling content. So that way, I would say, yeah, ChatGPT has been a great help. And, I think the best part is that it's not just about the way it, creates content. It understands, it comprehends, it's able to apply collective common sense from all the data that it has been, trained with. So you find the responses, very close to what you would typically, want to apply in your day-to-day life.
Okay, interesting. So it's not just about, because I've heard a lot of use cases for ChatGPT in the context of producing content or revamping content, modifying it, making it better, changing the tone of voice, right? But to talk about it in the context of making your repetitive tasks easier, that is something that has definitely piqued my interest, and I want to know more about that. And but before we do that, one question. So in addition to creating content, which we know is a no-brainer with ChatGPT, and now repetitive content, are there any other use cases where you have leveraged ChatGPT? For example, are you using any of the plugins, or are you kind of sticking with the usual, you know, uh, 3.5 unpaid version, the way that the rest of us are accessing it?
Absolutely. So we are using the unpaid version, which is the 3.5,
Yeah.
no plugins per se.
Hmm.
But I like the fact that as a tool, it can become your, AI assistant across roles, right? So whether it's an HR related thing that, a person needs to do, for example, send an email out to an employee, for, say, we have our,
Hmm.
8th anniversary celebrations coming up next month. Right,
Hmm.
and I wanted to draft a nice email to my team, right?
Hmm.
So rather than me spending time on crafting something creative, you use ChatGPT to write a nice
Right.
email for you, right? Another example is for your sales outreach across geographies, get it to translate some of your content into, say, for example, German if I'm reaching out to the German market.
Hmm.
Right, so across roles you can use the tool to be able to help you with certain tasks and make them easier and a lot better.
Got it. So do you use it for translation? I mean, would you trust the translation straight off? I didn't know that, because how would you know whether it's good or bad?
So I have, one example where we had asked it. So we were working with a German client, and what we were writing basically for them was for German investors, targeted at
Hmm.
German investors, right? And we had a write-up that we cross-checked, because
Hmm.
we had the advantage there. Because while I don't understand German, I wanted to get a sense, is
Yes.
if I rewrite my profile, in German, is it really having that impact which I have
Yeah.
tried to create in my English language profile, right? And I did get it validated, and it was brilliant.
Wow. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay. All right. So translation is another use case for you. Now,
Absolutely
emails, translation, content creation, and managing repetitive tasks. Would
right.
that be okay? So let's jump right into the repetitive task, because, like I said, that is something that I'm definitely interested in, because I've not heard, or rather spoken to anyone who's talked about that yet. So how does this play out? Should we do a share screen and you take us through how you set it up? Or if even better, if you have something already set up, I'd love to see it.
All right. I would like to take the example of maybe an email itself,
Okay.
where we often need to send emails to to our team members about like currently we are working in a hybrid format, right? So which is like where our team is coming to office on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Hmm.
and the rest of the days we are working from home. So if it's a task like I need to quickly send a reminder about one of the days not being a work from home day, and we are pulling in the team to come to office because there is a critical deliverable, right? quickly write an email, to the entire team. So for such things, I will just go to ChatGPT and ask it to, quickly write an email. So let me show you how I do that to start with. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right. So say I want to, write an email.
Can you zoom into your screen a little bit so we can see it cover more of the share screen?
Sure, let me do that.
Great. Yes, perfect.
Better?
All right. Yes.
Okay, so I will say write an email to the team about our upcoming celebration for our 8th founding day. Have lots of fun activities lined up, right? And I just hit send. Right, so as you can see, the tool is not just giving me an email. It was a very simple prompt, right? I asked it to write an email just announcing to the team that we have this coming up. But along with the email, it's also given me some great ideas which I can use to plan my day, right? So we could do some
Correct.
games, we could do a lunch, we could do some awards, we can have games and prizes, we can have dinner and the cake cutting and all of that, right? So it's not just the task of writing an email, but it also gives you ideas along with it, which is absolutely great, because as a small team and we are trying to plan everything ourselves, it's a great help to have ideas at the click of a button.
Absolutely. And it's much easier to work on something that's presented to you than try to think of something from scratch when you can get the help. So, right.
Right. Then we were also thinking about, maybe switching from our 2-day week to, a 3-day week. Right. So if I simply ask it to say, write an email announcing the move from a 2-day work from office to 3 days, that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this was the 2-day, that's Tuesday, Thursday, starting October 1st. Right. So the great thing is that it's not just a simple announcement, because an announcement like this is something which will be, taken by different people in different ways, because you're, kind of making a change in the team's functioning. You were working 2 days from office. You're kind of transitioning. It's a big move, bringing everybody now to office for 3 days in a week. But the way it drafts the entire mail for you, in terms of, talking about flexibility, safety, well-being, right, and announcing in bold the 3 each days that we will now come back to office to, right, and what is our aim behind this, right? So it's added this entirely on its own without me mentioning anything in the prompt at all, right? So it's going to enhance our flexibility, it's going to reduce commute, it's going to promote more collaboration and all of that. So a lot of things I do feel the need to even cut out when I use these emails. Like, for example, currently we don't need to adhere to any health guidelines, because we don't have any, COVID protocols being followed, and this is not really the need, with which we are working in a hybrid model. So often I find it giving me a good framework to draft in my emails, and then I can cut out whatever is unnecessary and, then just take it forward from there.
Understood. So is this where does the repetitive task, I mean, is this what you would call a repetitive task, as in just sending an email out and it helping you draft it, or are you kind of automating anything using ChatGPT?
No, not automating anything, but in tasks like these where you need to repeatedly send reminders to the team about something, and you want it to be crafted in a proper formal
Right.
and not just a one-liner, so that the team takes it seriously.
Right.
So you don't spend that time in, writing those emails again and again, and just quickly does it for you.
Understood. Okay. I'm curious how you leverage ChatGPT to produce content as part of your work. For example, for thought leadership, to what extent, how are you leaning on ChatGPT? Because see, you are an expert in your domain. So unlike someone who's not an expert in it, who might go onto it saying, what are some interesting courses or content ideas for thought leadership on Dash? You are beyond that. So you already, you are already doing your storytelling, your crafting of your training, and your content. So where does ChatGPT fit into that space?
Right. So for organizations like ours, ChatGPT is not directly usable when it comes to, creating content
Right.
for. While I can give you an example. I can prompt it to, say for example, I have a client which is an IT company. Let's assume it's an IT company, and it provides solutions which are going to enable its customers to become autonomous by being empowered by data-driven decisions, for
Okay.
example. Right. So if I want to write an introduction about this company, I may just go ahead and I'll show you the difference really in terms of, what ChatGPT can generate and why the human intervention or is really critical when it comes to creating, powerful storytelling or powerful content, right?
That would be great. Yes.
Right. So I can say write a paragraph, from an IT company that provides autonomous enterprise solutions to clients using AI, right? And we will see what it generates. Right. So if you look at it broadly, it's done the job. It's saying that, so and so company is at the forefront of innovation. It's offering cutting edge autonomous enterprise solutions. Our mission is to empower businesses. We understand that the future of the enterprise lies in being intelligent, automated, so very cleverly put together. And it does the job if you see it, from a very base scale. Right. So, but compare that with, I have a paragraph that we have, written for a client that's, human generated, and you will clearly see the difference. And I'll quickly bring that up here. So compare that write up that we saw here, where it's more I would say boastful. It's all about we have been doing this, our mission is this, and we help our clients, that kind of a tonality. And there is no there is no differentiation in the content. It's just stating certain things, right? Compare that with a much more crisper and a more powerful version which says, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, which says that the era of digital acceleration and automation is behind us, because everybody went through that journey in the pandemic, right? Everybody became digital ready. But on the horizon now is the emergence of the autonomous enterprise, where AI augments and empowers. It's a game changer for organizations who are looking to thrive in this transformative age of generative AI. How can you leverage it? How can you unlock its full potential? We have the answer. Right. So when it comes to creating content which is, of this quality or of this impact, and something which needs to be so compelling, I really find that, while ChatGPT can give you a good starting point to get you thinking, but to create something like this is really where the human skill of, the ability to write really, comes into the picture.
So normally, are you writing content first and then dumping it in ChatGPT to rewrite it? Or are you starting with ChatGPT and inspiration and then reworking it here? Or are they just separate for you personally?
Right. So I would say, to be honest, Taapsi, it's both. Sometimes when I'm looking for a framework to begin my thought process, I use ChatGPT to give me some sort of a broad framework in terms of, where should I start as a good starting point. Sometimes we writers face a writer's block and we're just looking for, some sort of a framework in our heads to get our words going, right? So in that case, I use it, to give me that starting point. In some cases, the thought and the words are already there in your mind. All you need to do is put it down, but you're looking at some refinements, for example, right? And often, I'll give you an example here. Often we try to add some impact to our statements. We try and use, for example, combinations of words which are all starting with, say, for example, C, right? So we are our ethos is based on, say, commitment, collaboration, and another C, right?
Yeah.
And I'm struggling to think what is that, third C, right? So in that case, I might just quickly go to ChatGPT, give it the sentence, and we can try that here. For example, we can say where AI augments, and say I don't like the word empowers, and I want something from A to just add that little bit of extra touch or impact, right?
This is fun. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So in that case, I might just go to ChatGPT and I'll say I've given it this paragraph, and I will say replace empowers with a word starting with A, right? So it's chosen the word
Nice.
amplifies.
Very nice.
Right? So it's very quick when we are struggling for thought, and I would have probably thought of accelerates, right? So AI augments and accelerates.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm not happy with amplifies, I might just ask it to regenerate, right? But it's still giving me the same answer. It's still giving me So in such cases, I might still go and change it to accelerates. But sometimes when I'm looking for, a combination of 3 C's, so commitment, collaboration, compassion, for example, and I'm struggling to find the third word, then it's a very quick help, to give me that, quick word.
Got it. Got it. So how much would you say is your content collaborating with ChatGPT now? Would you say, is it 50-50, which means you're kind of, working side by side, or is it 30 you, 70 ChatGPT? Like what's the split of dependency or collaboration with ChatGPT? Let's put it that way.
Right. So I would say when it comes to actually creating the content, and when you compare the content, I would say it's a very small percent. But in terms of enhancing content, in terms of ideation and research, I would say it's a significant percentage, maybe up to a 30-40%. But when it comes to actually the writing process, I would say it's below 10%, for sure. We also run our content pass tools like Zero GPT, right? So which tell us that this is AI generated text or this is human generated text. I can maybe give you an example of that as well.
And why is that important for the work you do to run it through Zero GPT?
Right. Because see, clients finally come to us for the insights that we bring and, the specialist expertise that we bring to the table, right? If the whole world is going to start using ChatGPT to generate content, and I'm sure you've seen some examples, even when the Chandrayaan launch happened, there were so many posts out there on social media, on LinkedIn, which all read the same, right?
Yeah.
So brands don't want to be in that situation where our words and our content is just sounding the same as everybody else's. Because today, with over 100 million users, everybody out there is using ChatGPT, right? So how are you different? How is your content breaking away from that noise and breaking away from that clutter and standing out in its own different space, right? So for us, that's a very, very critical requirement, and we ensure that there is the Zero GPT approach, so that the human storytelling or creating compelling content based on human skill, and that difference really shows in the example like I showed you, right? For us, that is very, very critical.
And so am I getting this right, that you have people who are writing content and then you're running all that content through zero GPT to make sure that the content that your team is creating is not, so it's basically you're ensuring that your team's content is not plagiarized through ChatGPT. And then and that's your quality, that's your due diligence that you're doing before you share that with the client.
Absolutely.
So zero GPT would be something that you as the manager or the head is kind of enforcing or implementing, rather, to make sure that your internal stuff is all nicely clean, and then it is passed on. Would that be correct?
Yes, because
Understood.
the data says that 53% of individuals cannot make out the difference between AI generated and human generated text, right? In a situation like that, when we work with large brands, it's very important for us to, ensure that, we are creating human generated text. And if I take this now and I, feed it to Zero GPT, you will be able to see the results here. Yeah, so it says your text is human written, it's 0% AI GPT, right? Compare that with the paragraph that, Chat GPT gave us, and I'll, maybe change the company name there so that we know for sure. Okay, I call it Right Knowledge Labs. Right? It tells you right there, right? It's 100% AI GPT generated text.
That's, it almost seems ironic that we started using ChatGPT in order to help us create content, come out with ideas. But the paradox is, the more people that use it, the more generic it sounds. And then now it's the reverse that's happening, is saying, how do we differentiate our content from ChatGPT, or from it sounding like ChatGPT? And then you're kind of coming full circle, because the only way to differentiate it is to start writing it on your own, or to at least be inspired mostly by human input, and then a little bit with ChatGPT or by ChatGPT. So
absolutely, Taapsi.
That's pretty interesting that we're kind of coming full circle with this as more and more people jump on the bandwagon. So this was fantastic, Zahara. Let's stop the screen share for a second, and I want to still ask you a few questions. Where is ChatGPT? Do you see yourself going deeper with what ChatGPT has to offer, or are you satisfied with what it is doing for you right now in the context of use cases you shared? Your emailers, inspiration for ideas, but ChatGPT can do a lot more. One example is plugins. Two is you start getting in prompt engineers, or you start getting in people who know how to automate shit, and suddenly you can create another beast out of this whole thing. But where are you on that interest scale for leveraging ChatGPT?
So I would say the interest scale is definitely very high. I see that, there are a lot of people who generally struggle with articulating their ideas, right? While they may be, there could be, of course, one set of individuals who are, from a vernacular background, not very familiar with, putting together their ideas in a proper format to be able to present them. For them, it's a great tool, no doubt. But apart from that, even otherwise, I think it's a great tool. It has definitely enhanced productivity, across areas, right? So when it comes to simple things like replying to emails, you give it an email and you feel that it's a long drawn reply and you're struggling to write it. Give it an email and it will assume all the context. It understands all the context and will write it for you. And after that, you will just spend about a minute to tweak it, get it right, and send it out. Right. So in terms of efficiency, to move away from boring, administrative, sometimes repetitive, mundane tasks, so that you can really focus on ideation, I think it's a great tool, for sure. And what I love about it is that it gets the context, right? It has that collective common sense. It comprehends and it understands. It's not just throwing out data which is like published out there or written earlier. Right. So I definitely see a lot of potential, and there are sometimes things like mundane things that you keep doing on slides, right? You have to copy things, or you have to break the things down, and you have to do analysis. So we're looking at more updates to the tool, which can help us do some of that as well, as I'm sure on the anvil.
So you would like it to help with analysis and kind of distilling down thoughts into smaller chunks from big. And is that something you've already tried, or is that something you're yet to try with ChatGPT?
So currently the challenge is that, if I give it something which is say on the internet, and I want it to say summarize or give me a quick key takeaway or analyze it, it is not able to, access the, internet links. You have to feed it that information, and then it does that for you. But I'm sure going forward, that is something that we should be able to do.
So what would be a prompt that you would ask it if you took a piece of text? Because right now, yeah, it goes as far as September 21, right? But there is Bing, and that kind of integrates the internet with ChatGPT, right? So where is it? I'm kind of just trying to unpack, where is it falling short, right? Like, what are you prompting it, and where have you not been satisfied? Because it sounds like you've already tried this before and it's not been up to mark. So I'm curious about what kind of prompt did you give it where it was less than ideal, the response?
So, not in terms of analyzing, but I would say less than ideal situations are where I find it's writing a little too over the top, right? So if you give it something, and you are asking for some a quick summary of something, I find it using a lot of adjectives, not very real or conversational, in the sense that something that you and I would normally be talking, right? And to simplify, like they say, to be able to put an idea simply across is sounds really simple, but is really challenging. And if you try doing that with ChatGPT, it gives you a long drawn, complicated, sometimes, with a lot of adjectives, and making it too flowery or too creative. And then you're like, no, this doesn't sound like,
We actually already saw that example in what you just showed, right? Like this nice paragraph where it is all about we're going to change, we're the change makers in the world, and we're empowering our clients to do this. So I completely see that. And it also reminds me of a mentor of mine who used to force me. I just finished my PhD program, and she used to force me to write in plain English. And she would say, it's really hard to do. Like, try writing everything in just plain English. So I understand your point of writing things simply and telling the story in a straightforward, plain way is probably more hard hitting, and that as a content expert. And yeah, ChatGPT can kind of
yeah, we face that challenge in hiring as well, So when we earlier, it used to be, people used to think that you can just do a Google search and you can become a writer. So we stopped, putting on the internet Wi-Fi when we put candidates to do a writing test, right? And now with ChatGPT, I mean, it's like everybody thinks that they can just write. But if you have an idea and you want to convey it, to be able to do it very simply, is something which is, a skill you need to be able to work on. And that is something where I feel sometimes ChatGPT does fall short. And when it writes for you, you feel the need to, really edit it down and prune it down to be able to, bring that simplicity out.
Makes sense. Okay, is there anything else about your interaction with ChatGPT for the work that you do that you want to talk about that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we've covered pretty much all the aspects.
Okay, great. So I do have a rapid fire, and it'll be very painless, I promise. And it's all personal, so you don't have to think about anything, or author names or anything like that. So are you ready? 4 questions.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Question 1. Name one thing on your bucket list.
Oh my God. EBC?
Say that again.
Everest Base Camp?
Ooh, okay, all right. Oh, I didn't realize. Okay, you're the adventurous kind. Okay. Which social media platform are you most active on?
LinkedIn.
Okay. What comes to mind when I say happy?
A mountaintop?
Okay. Do you believe in karma or coincidence?
Karma, definitely.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, Zahara, that was it from my end. Is there anything that you want to say? Last thoughts before we conclude this? This is fantastic. I really appreciate all the time that you've spent here.
No, wonderful. It's been wonderful, Tapsi, and wonderful reflecting and thinking over, tools like these, and in what way they can become better and how they've really transformed our lives. I think it's been a wonderful conversation.
Well, thanks so much, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right. Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.